Before we dive into the controversy that is absolutely rocking the Los Angeles Rams organization and could potentially alter the NFL rulebook this offseason, I need everyone to smash that like button on the video right now. It helps the algorithm more than you know. Also, I want to see exactly where the Ramley is checking in from today. Drop your name and your city in the comment section below so we can see which part of the map is representing the blue and gold. Now, let's get right into the situation that has Sean McVay absolutely fired up. I have been covering the NFL for a long time, and I have seen coaches upset about losses. But what is happening right now with Sean McVay following the Week 16 Thursday Night Football loss to the Seattle Seahawks is different. This isn't just frustration about a loss. This is a calculated, strategic move by a head coach who also happens to sit on the NFL competition committee. My sources inside the building tell me that McVay has not let go of the pivotal two-point conversion that allowed Seattle to tie the game at 30-30, and his comments over the last 24 hours suggest he is preparing to wage a war on what he calls a technicality issue that violates the spirit of the game. For those who need a refresh on exactly what transpired, because the nuance here is incredibly important, let's look at the mechanics of the play. The Seahawks were attempting a two-point conversion. Sam Darnold dropped back and attempted to throw a lateral screen pass out to the flat. Rams outside linebacker Byron Young, who played a phenomenal game otherwise, made a great read. He got his hands up and deflected the ball. The ball hit the ground. Now, in 99% of football situations, when a pass hits the ground, the play is dead. However, because Darnold's arm angle and the trajectory of the ball were ruled as a backward pass, essentially a lateral, the ball remained live. It was a live ball on the ground. Seahawks running back Zach Charbonnet, showing great awareness, scooped the ball up and ran it into the end zone for the conversion. The issue here, and the point McVay is hammering home, is the collision of two different rule sets. We have rules in the NFL specifically designed to prevent the offense from advancing a fumble in critical situations. If a player fumbles on fourth down or in the final 2 minutes of a half, the only person who can advance that ball is the player who fumbled it. If anyone else on the offense recovers it, the ball is spotted right there. This rule exists specifically to prevent teams from fumbling forward intentionally or benefiting from a chaotic loose ball. But here is the loophole that McVay is exposing. Because the officials ruled this a backward pass and not a fumble, that restriction does not apply. A backward pass that hits the ground is a live ball that anyone can advance. Technically, by the letter of the law, the officials were correct to let Charbonnet score, but McVay is arguing that this technicality completely undermines the integrity of the no advancement rule. I've been told by sources close to the situation that McVay's frustration is compounded by the fact that the whistle actually blew during the play. When Byron Young batted that ball down, the officials initially reacted as if it were an incomplete forward pass. The whistle sounded. Players on the field, including Rams defenders, stopped playing because that is what you are taught to do. You hear the whistle, the play is dead. However, because the play was subject to replay review regarding whether it was a forward or backward pass, the officials determined that the whistle was erroneous, or came after the recovery was imminent, allowing the score to stand. While McVay publicly stated he isn't using the whistle as an excuse, calling it an irrelevant point to his main argument, it undoubtedly adds to the feeling inside the locker room that the Rams were robbed on a technicality. Let's analyze McVay's specific language here because it is very telling of his future intentions. He explicitly mentioned his role on the competition committee. When a head coach brings up his committee status in a press conference, that is a signal to the league office. He said, "That is not something that we want in the game." He acknowledged that while the Seahawks were trying to run a screen, it failed. The defense won the rep. Byron Young won the rep, but the offense was rewarded with 2 points because of a loophole regarding backward passes. McVay compared it to fumbling a toss play. If you fumble a toss, you can pick it up and run. But on a conversion attempt where the stakes are highest, allowing a team to benefit from a batted ball that hits the turf feels like a violation of competitive equity. The implications of this are massive, not just for the rulebook, but for the Rams' current standing. This was a Week 16 divisional game. A win here would have solidified their positioning. Instead, the game went to overtime and the Rams eventually lost. That two-point conversion was the catalyst that swung the momentum entirely in Seattle's favor. If that play is ruled dead as an incomplete pass or a non-advanceable fumble, the Rams likely win that game in regulation. My analysis of the playoff picture suggests that this single loss complicates the Rams' path significantly, forcing them to be perfect down the stretch and potentially rely on outside help, whereas a win would have put them in the driver's seat. Looking at the broader context, this situation highlights the immense difficulty of officiating the modern NFL game. The game happens at such high speed. The difference between a forward pass and a backward pass can be a matter of inches or degrees of arm angle. In real time, it looked like a batted pass. Byron Young certainly thought he had made a stop. The fact that the Rams' defense, which has been improving week over week, was punished for making a play on the ball is a bitter pill to swallow. McVay was adamant that he would feel the same way if the roles were reversed. He stated, "I can't imagine anybody thinks that plays like that should be counted as conversions." That is a strong statement. He is essentially challenging his peers and the league office to defend the rule as it's currently written. I expect this to be a major topic of conversation when the competition committee meets in the offseason. McVay has already alluded to the can of worms that officiating discussions can open up, but he seems determined to open this specific can. We could very well see a rule proposal labeled the McVay rule or the Charbonnet rule that treats backward passes on fourth down and two-point conversions the same way as fumbles. They cannot be advanced by a teammate. This would unify the logic of the rulebook. If the offense messes up a play on a conversion attempt, whether by fumble or a backward pass hitting the dirt, the defense should not be at a disadvantage if the ball takes a lucky bounce. From a personnel standpoint, I have to give credit to Zach Charbonnet for playing to the whistle, or even through the whistle. He told reporters he didn't know the rule nuance. He just picks up the ball whenever it's on the ground. That is good coaching on Seattle's part. But for the Rams, it is a nightmare scenario. I've spoken to a few people around the league about this, and the consensus is that McVay has a valid point. The holy roller rule, which prevents fumbling forward, was instituted decades ago to prevent offensive bailouts. This backward pass loophole feels like a remnant of the past that simply hasn't been addressed because it happens so rarely. Well, it happened on Thursday Night Football, in primetime, in a game with massive playoff implications, and it went against a member of the competition committee. The Rams now have to regroup. They cannot let this emotional hangover affect their preparation for the next week. McVay's ability to compartmentalize this administrative fight from his coaching duties will be tested. He has to channel this anger into advocacy in the boardroom, but on the field, he has to get Matthew Stafford and this young defense ready to win out. They cannot dwell on the what-ifs. But make no mistake, the rhetoric coming out of Los Angeles is that they feel they were on the wrong side of a flawed rule, not necessarily a bad call, but a bad rule. And in the NFL, bad rules can cost people jobs and teams championships. As we look toward the final stretch of the season, keep an eye on how this specific play is discussed on national broadcasts. The league does not like admitting flaws in the rulebook during the season, but the outcry here is loud enough that they might issue a memo or a point of emphasis regarding whistles and backward passes. For Byron Young, it is a learning moment to play until the echo of the whistle is gone. But honestly, looking at the tape, it is hard to fault his effort. He did his job. The system just failed the Rams in that specific moment. I want to know what you think. Is Sean McVay right to be this upset about a technicality, or is this just sour grapes after a tough loss? Do you think the NFL needs to change the rule regarding backward passes on conversion attempts? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.